The harsh reality of the world that we live in is that there are people who prey and abuse on children and just other people in general. And we have to be aware of that is happening. We can't just live our life as though that's not going on. And it's no different in kids ministry. We need to know that this is a reality and that this is happening, that there are countless numbers of kids who have been abused at church or by people who go to church and who profess to be believers, but that this is happening. And this section of our manual, starting on page 15, we want you to go through, and we don't expect you to be an expert from what's written here, but we expect that through this you'll be able to identify some of the signs and just have an understanding of the reality that we live in, that anybody can be guilty of this, and that sometimes it's the people that we know the best who are guilty of this as well. We want you to be equipped, not to handle every situation, but to be equipped to be able to see some things that you think might look off or that might indicate something more, and be able to report that, whether it be to myself or to one of the elders or to one of the other deacons in the church. We want to go through. We want to do this not because we're obligated to do this, but because we love these kids. We care about them, and we want what's best for them, spiritually and physically and emotionally, just the same as what our safety things are there. We don't want to do this because we have to do this. We want to do this because we love these kids and we want to protect them. We want what's best for them. And if they are in a situation where they're being abused, we want to do everything that we can to end that situation so that they can be taken out of that, and that God can redeem that situation for those kids. Some things that we want you guys as volunteers to do, if a child does come to you and confides in you that they have a secret or that they have something that they want to know. If we go to page 20, there's a list of things that you should do if that happens. We do not want you to force that child to talk. If they come and say something and they shut down, we don't want you to just grill them in that. We want it to be comfortable for those kids in that situation. We don't want you to put words in that child's mouth either, or to make assumptions of what's happening. If they're talking to you, we want you to just let them talk. Let them explain what's happening. We don't want you to drill the child over details. We don't want you to be the investigator. There's people who are trained in that, and we're going to bring those people in. We're going to work with those people with that if that does happen. We never want you to act excited or alarmed if a child is doing it. We want you to stay calm as they're talking to you about what's going on. We never call the person accused. Never tell the child that you're going to keep their secret. Let them know that you care about them and that you're going to report the abuse so that they can be helped. We don't want this. If a child confides in you and comes up and says, you can't tell anybody this, we don't want you to say, okay, I won't tell anyone. We want you to say, no, I need to tell somebody about this so that we can help you. Not so that we can get them in trouble or that we can get anyone in trouble, but so that we can help everyone involved because we love them, and that's what we want to see happen in that situation. Report the words spoken exactly as they were said. For instance, if a child says, my bucket was touched, don't translate that to mean my bottom was touched. I know this seems silly, but the exact words are important in situations like this. And so we need to make sure that we are saying exactly what was said to us. Law enforcement officials highly recommend not telling the person or the child's parents that the abuse has been reported. The children's parents don't know. The police have asked all of us to not say anything to them, as this can cause problems down the road, and that we don't want that to happen. And if this does happen and that is the case, the parents will be we'll get an explanation for exactly why we did what we did from the police and from us as well in the situation, and that you were acting according to how we have laid out things in that. Things that you should do if a child comes and discloses this or tells you about this kind of situation or anything that goes on is tell the child that you're glad that they told you. Remember that children seldom lie about acts of sexual exploitation. It's important that a child feel that they believe what he or she has told you. Let the child know that you will do all that you can to protect him or her. Tell him that because you care, you're going to go with him to whomever we've designated. So to myself or to one of the elders or deacons at Mars Hill is who you're going to come to if this situation happens, and that's they're going to help in that process with that. We want you to tell them that they're not in trouble, that there's nothing that they did wrong in this situation. Oftentimes we see abusers convince the child that they are doing something wrong and that they would be in trouble if they told. We want to just reinforce with those kids if they came that they're not in trouble, that they didn't do something wrong, that something happened to them, and we want to go from there. Listen carefully and report accurately what the child says. Follow the guidelines listed below pertaining to the information the police will need. And there are guidelines here, but in likelihood you won't be the one who goes through this with him. We want you to come to us, and we'll go over this with you, whether it be a deacon, another deacon, or an elder, or myself that is going to go over this. But so you do know, we want to ask who abused that child. We want them to. We want to know who they say, and we want in that we don't want to be making the assumption that we understand, but for them to explicitly say who it was that did that to them. We want to ask them where it happened. Again, just as specific as possible in all of these information. And we want to ask them where physically that happened. I mean, if it was in a house, or if they know where it was, or wherever that may have been. And we want to ask exactly what happened. We want the kids to explain it to us in their own words, being careful to not fill in our own thoughts or our own words in that process.